Good morning, everyone. This is Garrick with eXp Realty, and today we're talking about writing winning offers, or actually write winning offers. Nobody wants to write an offer that's not going to win, and but there's a place for that too. So today we're going to write winning offers. It's especially important today because we are in a ultra competitive market, and I understand that we have people from different states and different localities, and your market is a little bit different. So it's very, very important that you check to see what is going on in your market and have a very good sense of the activity. Are you in a strong seller's market? Are you in a strong buyer's market? And your response to that is going to be different. Okay, so I live in the Bay Area, I sell in the Bay Area, and we are in a very, very strong seller's market. Okay, so let's go. Always submit your highest and best offer. Okay, you're not, because is your highest price does not always win, and you may not always get a counter offer. There's many situations where we submit offers and we never hear back from the listing agent because sellers accepted an offer that was strong and they just didn't need to go to second place. Okay, seller does not choose the offer that has the highest. Seller chooses the offer that has the highest net and the highest probability to close. So just because it's the highest price doesn't mean it's good. So there's many situations where, hold on a second. Sorry. Okay. Oh, this is funny. Is do not let your buyer be this guy. And this guy is making a coffee order at Starbucks.
Could I get a venti, half whole milk, 1/4, 1% milk, 1/4 not that milk, split the quads, extra hot.
Split the quads?
Yeah, split the quads, so like half decaf, half caffeinated.
Venti?
Venti?
So you told me it's a latte or what is it?
It's a no foam latte.
So you said 2 decaf?
2 decaf, yeah, 2 decaf.
Okay.
1 shot caffeinated.
Yep.
And then a sprinkle of cinnamon and whipped cream.
Sure. So you said that, but for the milk, what is it exactly?
It's so it's 1/2 whole milk, and 1/2 1%.
So half whole milk.
1/4 1%.
Okay, you get the idea. Over complicated wants and needs. So in this market, because there's so limited inventory, you're just kind of even lucky to be in a house, or even lucky to even see something that's available. So if you're going to be this picky, you're probably not going to like this market. Okay. The table below shows a full spectrum of contract variables from weak, better, and best. And this is kind of like poker. You don't know what the other people are going to play, but you want to do your best. You want to be slightly better than the next offer because that's hopefully going to be the winning factor. Okay. So in a market, is your offer catering to the seller's needs? And when I say weak, better, and best, you don't have to be best at everything. Okay. But you have to offer the best that you can. But some things you can pull back. You don't have to be best. You can be better. Okay. And in a buyer's market, you can offer weak offers, and because your 1 week offer is better than the other non-offer. Okay. So it's kind of like a slider. If you can picture a slider, you can move a little bit weaker, you can move a little bit better, whatever your buyer's capability is going to be. And you have to know what your buyer is capable of doing because you don't want to overextend your buyer as well. Your offer, does it serve the seller's needs? What are the seller's needs? Maybe they need to close early. Maybe they need to close later because of a 1031 exchange. Maybe they need a rent back. Maybe because they haven't found their new place yet. Maybe they need another 60 days just because their house is being constructed. Does your offer meet the seller's needs? Oh no, I need to move in right away. Okay. Do you meet their seller's needs? Okay, price. The higher the seller net, the better, because the seller is going to want to net more on their sale. So you're asking what's a net price? Okay, it's not the purchase price, because you could say, oh, I'd like to offer $500,000, but with $10,000 credit back to my closing costs. That's not a that's a high price, but you're asking for money back. That's not the same. Okay, so a net price is what is the seller going to walk away from? What is the seller going to walk away from the deal with? Is what your offer, is that the highest net that they can get? Earnest money deposit. Okay, so in this case, in the state of California, earnest money deposit is refundable if you have contingencies. If you don't have contingencies, they're non-refundable. Okay, so what are you offering in terms of earnest money deposit? So a weak offer would be like $1,000, okay, to secure that contract. Okay, so that's considered weak. In our market in the Bay Area, 3% is standard. Okay, so on $1 million offer, you got to put $30,000 of your cash in escrow, and that's standard. Okay, that seems like outrageous to some people, but that's normal how in the Bay Area we do it. The 3% number comes from the maximum amount of liquidated damages that a buyer can earn from a failed transaction. Okay, you can put more than 3%, but I don't recommend it, because if you put more than 3%, your money gets stuck in escrow. Okay, because EMD has to require 2 signatures before money can be released. So you put a 20% deposit, and if the deal fails, your 20% is stuck. Okay, we lost the offer because one of the other offers had put 20% EMD. Okay, that shows that they're committed. Why is that a commitment message? Because 20% EMD in escrow means I'm not going to make another offer somewhere else. There's no way I can cancel this deal once I'm in. Okay, if you're putting $1,000, you can make 10 offers, right? 1,000 here, 1,000 here. I can cancel. I lose 1,000. If I lose 1,000, that's okay, because if I'm going to earn 20 on this deal, it's not a big deal. So $1,000 is very, very low risk. 3% is considered reasonable risk for a lot of people, because how long does it take for you to save $30,000? Okay, and what about if you put 20%? So in the $1 million purchase, somebody put $200,000 deposit in. Okay, so you see how that's different. So it's all these factors. It's not just one factor. How fast can you get your deposit into escrow? In a week? Oh, come on, let's be serious. 3 business days? That could actually turn into 5 days. If you got in a contract on Friday, Saturday and Sunday don't count because it's business days. So that means you have up to 5 days to get your money into escrow. Okay, EMD in 1 business day. This is the reason why offers are due on Tuesday in the Bay Area, so that they can be reviewed on reviewed on Tuesday night, and the deposit needs to be in on Wednesday. And if the deposit is not in on Wednesday, they go to second place offer by Thursday and still get in the deposit by Friday. So do you see the reason why the Bay Area has the dates the way they do it? Okay. Convention. Okay, what kind of financing do you have? Just because it's all cash doesn't mean it's going to win. Again, remember, it's always about high seller net, and do you meet the seller's needs? Okay, so do you have a conventional loan? Is it pre-approval, or do you have an underwriter approval? There's a difference. Pre-approval means that the lenders looked at your paperwork and said, good, and then maybe submitted it for your income statement verified and then your credit verified, but they haven't did the underwriter. Maybe the underwriter is going to find some more stuff. Maybe they find tax returns that were missing, or they go through a lot more detail at the underwriter stage. Okay, for jumbo loans, they are manually underwritten. What kind of down payment do you have? What kind of finances again, right? Do you just have 20% down payment? Okay, that's a good offer, but a 30% down payment is better, because 30% means that now maybe I have 10% left over, money on top of the 20 that I can use to cover appraisal gaps. And appraisal gaps are very common today, because what if the appraiser says it's only worth 950, but you made an offer for $1 million. Now you have a $50,000 appraisal gap. You have to be able to cover it. And if you're not able to cover it, your offer seems weak now. Okay. So make sure your clients are really prepared to understand about the appraisal gap. There's a difference in where the market is in the current value or the current bidding, and there's a difference between that and reality, which is what is actually sold. Okay, appraisers only look at sold data. Okay, arbitration, mediation, and liquidated damages. There is a clause in the California purchase agreement, and these should be initialed, because if the client is not willing to participate in this, then the seller client may not be willing to work with you. Okay, because everybody's going to want skin in the game. If you cancel, if you have any problems with the property, these things are going to come up, and it hopefully never. But when they do, they want to make sure that you're willing to do this, because nobody wants a lawsuit. They'll go through mediation, which is much cheaper. Okay. In the Bay Area, which is different from some markets, sellers offer disclosures and reports. The reason they do this is because the sellers want to eliminate as many probabilities of the buyer canceling a deal. Okay, so if the buyer has a chance to cancel, so for example, in Southern California, I'm told that you don't get your seller disclosures until you have a ratified contract. And the reason is because the sellers don't want you to read all the stuff about the house until they know that you're the actual one buyer. But by then, what happens so in those cases, the buyer would keep an inspection contingency and say, okay, I need at least 5 days to review the seller documents. But at the same time, that opens up and says the buyer has the ability to cancel the deal. So in the Bay Area, to make it more competitive, we close that loop and we say, here are the disclosures, read them up front and you decide. So now that we've read them, we actually can offer no contingencies. Okay. Your lender, and you think that your lender is not part of the deal. Oh yeah, the lender is part of the deal. Okay. If the seller calls the lender, does the lender pick up the phone? Or is it 1-800 National Bank extension 12345? Please leave a message. How easy is it to get a hold of the lender? Can the seller's agent call the lender and find out what situation, the financial situation the buyer's in? Contingencies. I emphasize quite often that, strong offers have no contingencies. And that says right here. But don't give away your contingencies unless you really, really have to. There are some offers today that have contingencies. You don't have to waive all your contingencies all the time. It's not one formula. Okay. A weak offer keeps multiple contingencies. You keep all the defaults. And if you read the California purchase agreement, the default inspection and appraisal is 17 days and the loan is 21 days. Is it, you got to be kidding, 21 days for a loan? Yeah, sometimes it is, because there's also a checkbox in the previous version of the purchase agreement that says you haven't even started the loan process yet. So now by default, you have to include the pre-approval and the proof of funds. But in the previous iteration, they kind of assumed that you didn't even start your loan process yet, which is kind of crazy. How would anybody accept an offer from a buyer that hasn't even started their loan process? Like, they're not even qualified in my mind. Okay, moving along. So multiple contingencies still. You can make it better by, let's say, tightening up the timeline. So instead of 17 days for inspection, you make it 10 days. Instead of 10 days, maybe you make it 5. Instead of 5 days, make it 1. Okay. Why would somebody have a 1-day inspection contingency? Well, maybe they've never seen the property, and that's their first time to go see it. They only see it when they go into contract. Even a 1-day contingency seems very aggressive, but to the seller, that's still a way out. And the seller's not going to like that. So you need to go see the property before making the offers, unless you're willing to take the property without seeing it. And there's only like one case where that is acceptable. It's if you're an investor buyer, and you have somebody go see it for you, maybe do a video tour, but you should at least know what the property looks like. Okay. Some investors during the foreclosure crisis, they make offers on properties they've never seen before because they don't want to waste time actually seeing it. They'll only see it when they get the contract. But by then, they've also priced their purchase so low that they can fix any problems that they see. Okay. If we're in a retail market where you're paying the absolute highest possible price for a property, it's very important that the client actually know what they're buying. Okay. But in this case, in Sacramento market, I've seen that, there's no way. I mean, actually, even here in the Bay Area, there's some that had no appointments to go see the property anymore, but the property was still popular in a good neighborhood and people wanted to buy it. People are still making offers sight unseen just because they want to be in that neighborhood. They're willing to take whatever they can get. Okay. Escrow periods. How long are they? Are they longer than 30 days? 30 days is pretty standard. Okay. 30 days is standard. But if you can do like 14 days or 10 days, that's like amazing. But this isn't your choice. This is limited by what the lender is able to do and the speed of your cash. Okay. And that when I say speed of cash doesn't mean it's in your suitcase. It doesn't mean it's in your bank. What if cash is in a 401k? What if cash is in India or China? It makes a difference. Cash is not cash. Okay. You have to qualify where that cash is coming from. Okay. Changing escrow and title. We usually prefer to keep whatever is opened by the seller because this is something that the seller has already set up in terms of research, in terms of escrow and title. We prefer to keep it that way because the money can go in within 24 hours. If you change it, they'll have to set up a new escrow and title somewhere else, and that may take more time. Okay. Asking the seller to pay for buyer closing costs, that's a negative, but each pays their own. That's a positive. And can you imagine paying more, even the other party's closing costs? Okay. In Santa Clara County, the seller pays escrow and title. But let's say that the buyer wants to increase the value of the seller's net, but without increasing the purchase price. The buyer can say, I'll pay the escrow and title. So that's like an extra $5,000 to the seller without increasing the price. Okay. How about rent back? In some cases, the client just does not have the money. So the buyer is asking, yeah, the owner can stay, but you got to pay the PITI, the fair market value rent of the property. Let's say the house is owned by an old couple. They've actually had it free and clear. So they have no mortgage payments. So they pay zero towards their property. And now suddenly they have to pay rent and it's like $6,000 a month. They say, oh my gosh, that's a lot of money. So they're not familiar. It's a shock to them, especially in their finances. But let's say your buyer has the ability to offer rent back at a modest per diem. So whatever the PITI is, okay, PITI is principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. Okay. Or if your buyer has the ability to offer a free rent back. Free rent back means, yes, owner, you can stay there an extra 29 days while you find your next place and you can move on to the next place. Okay. Communication. Be very communicative. Make sure you talk to your agent, the other side. That way they're going to want to work with you. If you disappear, yeah, it doesn't work. Okay. Expect to buy the property in as is condition. Nobody wants to fix anything. Okay. You can say, seller, I need you to I want you to fumigate the property. Sure. But that's going to cost me $3,000. And that means the seller's net decreases. Okay. That also requires time. So now the seller's got to go schedule the fumigator. Okay. Missing deadlines. Don't miss your deadlines. Okay. And asking for extensions. Meet your deadlines or exceed your date deadlines. Okay. If you say you're going to do something in 14 days, do it in 13 or 10 or 11. Okay. Ask the seller. Okay. So in the area of commissions, let's say that the seller is offering 2% buy side commission. Okay. And then your typical cost and your fees are more justifiable, about 2.5%. So you're asking the seller to increase by 0.5%. Okay. Sometimes it stinks. Maybe you just suck it up and just take the 2% because the 2% is better than 0. Okay. I don't know. You have to decide. So asking for it. Okay. Maybe all the other offers are the same, but you're willing to give up 0.5% back to the seller. So the seller's net is higher and they pick your offer. Okay. I've seen this done by other agents too. So they do this. It does not increase the purchase price, but it reduces the seller's cost because you're taking 2% instead of 2.5%. Okay. Deal sweeteners. Maybe you offer the seller a 1-year supply of tacos. I don't know. What's a good deal sweetener? Maybe you offer the seller a fancy dinner at the local restaurant. Okay. That could be important too. Okay. That's the logistics. And I think I crammed everything up here. That's that's kind of like understanding the spectrum of the variables that are on a purchase agreement. Now we're going into something that's very state specific, especially California specific. So this is the purchase agreement. So if you're in California, this here is the residential purchase agreement sample that I filled in. And I've put fictitious characters. Please do not copy exactly. You need to research and make sure you fill in the values correctly. Okay, but I filled in the values, most of the values with data that is relevant. Okay, so read it 10 times, print it out, bring it to the toilet and sit and read it 10 times. If you don't know your purchase agreement in your state or the one that you use in your practice, you're in big trouble. Okay, because that purchase agreement will dictate exactly what will happen in the deal. And if you're not familiar with it, you need to read it another 10 times. You need to know it inside and out. You need to know it inside and out because you want to make sure that the other agent isn't taking advantage of you because you don't know your contract. Okay. You're not reading a lot. Okay. California's got a long contract. We've got 16 pages. It's not that long. It's only 16 pages. Yes, it's longer than 2, but 16 pages. I mean, you did graduate from high school and you've read longer books. So 16 pages is not that long. So just read it. This is your life. Okay. Memorize it, leverage it. If you don't, somebody's going to leverage it against you. Okay. Read it 10x more. Okay. Did I say read it yet? Okay. Yes, read it. If that's not enough, if you're having a hard time understanding the purchase agreement here, because it is a new format, okay, California Association of Realtor has some links, and I provided those for you too, on how to read and understand the purchase agreement. Okay, so you have access to California Association of Realtor legal advice, the legal video, quick reference guide, a 120-page purchase agreement guide, webinars on how to use it. So don't say that you don't know how to use it. Okay, this is your life. You need to know how to use it. Your client's first offer. This is tough. Okay, oftentimes your client is not going to win their first offer because they don't trust you yet. They trust you, but they don't trust you enough. Okay, they're just getting started. Okay, they're rookies. But if you train them well, you can win on the first offer. Okay, but it's going to take a lot of trust. Use it as an opportunity to educate and train your client, get them familiar with the process, collect all their documents that they need to make winning offers, and hopefully win it on the second round. This is an opportunity to earn your client's trust. Sometimes you need to use the first offer as a close on the buyer. Okay. So what I mean by that is the buyer's hesitant, the buyer's not willing to make offers. Just make it easy for them. Okay. They need to see the process. They need to know what DocuSign looks like. They need to know what the purchase agreement needs to look like. They need to know what what it's like to lose. Okay. Not intentionally. Okay. But that might be part of the process. So once they're familiar with it, okay, it's just like when you rode your bicycle for the first time. Did you fall off the bike? Yes, that's part of learning. But if you've never fallen off a bike, then you'll not know how to actually ride the bike. Success sometimes requires failing, and that's what this first offer is for. So I usually go up to the client, after we see this first showing. Hey, did you like the property? Yes, I like the property. Oh, great. I'll send you some disclosures. Take a look at them and let me know if you have any questions. Okay, we've read them. Does it make sense to make our first offer? It's okay that we don't win, but that way you and I are familiar with the process and you can understand the climate of the market. Oh, okay. Let's just go ahead and put in an offer. I don't really care what the offer is. Just put it in. Okay. If it's ridiculously, it's $1 million. It's listed at $899. It's expected to go to $1 million. They want to put 700. Write the $700,000 offer. Okay, just write it. It doesn't matter. Okay, so if they don't exercise the ability to DocuSign, if they don't exercise the ability to read and make an offer, they don't know what the process is like. Make the $700,000 offer. It's ridiculous. We know. Okay. It's not wasting time. It's training the client. Okay. If you are a rock star producer and you just know that it's wasting time and you just don't have time to write that kind of offer, get one of your newer agents to write it. Okay. Train one of your newer agents to do it. Or if you absolutely won't do it, then okay, you just have too much business, then that's fine. That's your business. Okay. Other factors to winning an offer. Okay, relationships matter. Do they know who you are? Do you know who they are? What's your reputation? You're in this business for a long term. Okay, don't do shady stuff because that'll catch up to you and people will find out and they're not going to want to do business with you. Okay, relationships matter. Put that at the top. Okay. Call pendings. So whatever the market value price, wherever the property is, call the properties around it and find out what their pending prices are. Again, it goes back to relationship. If you have a good relationship with that person, they're willing to share with you the pending price because they know what your business is like. If you're nowhere, if you're not the right kind of, if you're a shady person, they may not share it with you. But don't get me wrong, agents are not required to share this information with you. Okay. So they can choose to share it, but they don't have to. It's confidential. They may feel that it affects their sales, so they may not want to tell you. But if you are an upstanding agent, okay, and talk to the other party, ask them, hey, we're making an offer on 123 Main Street, and we wanted to get a little bit of insight. We see that your property is right around the corner. Could you share with us your pending price and how many offers you got? Oh, wow. Congratulations. I'm so excited for you. Okay. Because now you have a piece of information and that will help you to write better offers. Okay. So if the other house, 456 Main Street, had 5 offers at this price, you know that 4 of them lost. Those 4 are going to be offering on the same house that you're going to about to offer. So you need that leverage. Okay. Call the listing agent. Find out how many disclosures are out. How many people came to the open house. Be nice about it. If you badger the listing agent, they may not like you. So make sure you're on the liking side. If they don't like you, that's going to be a problem. Call the buyer's lender. Okay, call the buyer's lender. If you don't know your buyer's financial strength, you're in big trouble. Okay, the buyer is trusting you with $1 million. Are you going to help them keep it or are you going to help them lose it? Do you want to be sued? Okay, hopefully not none of the above. Okay, so call your buyer's lender. Okay, find out what they're willing to do. What are they able to do? Can you close? Can you close in 30 days? 20? How about 25? Okay. What's their financial situation like? Have you reviewed all their finances? Are they underwriter approved? Can we offer non-contingent? Talk to the buyer about this. Make sure they completely understand what non-contingent means. That means you cannot renegotiate anything. Okay. If you cancel, you're risking your deposit. Okay. Other factors, off-market, pre-market, preemptive properties. So in this market, everything that can be shaved or improved is being improved. Contingencies go down to 0. Okay. EMD within a business day. Okay. EMD amount, maximum 3%. Okay. Now people are looking for, well, if the property hits the market, it's public. What if we get the property before it gets to the market? Okay. Or if it has a deadline of Tuesday, well, let's say we offer it before the deadline. That's called preemptive. What if we offer it before the property hits the market? That's a pre-market or coming soon. What if we offer it on a market and it never made the market, like an off market? There's one time where one of my colleagues called me and asked me for some advice about a property that they were listing, and I said, "Great, can I come see it?" So I actually brought my client with me to go meet with my friend who's listing a property in an area that my client wanted to buy. We actually made a preemptive offer before the listing agreement was even signed. So you know that house was never seen by anybody. We made a very strong preemptive offer. We ended up not winning because the seller actually wanted higher, and I don't blame him because our offer, although it was preemptive and very strong, was probably not their maximum potential. So understood. Okay. Network. If the more people you know, the better the chance of somebody wanting to work with you. If you got your business cards, they don't belong in your pocket. When you go see a property, drop a card. I don't care if you're going to like it or not. You just drop a card. That's an indirect form of networking and posturing. Other people are going to come see the house and say, "Oh, shoot, you're selling here too? Man, you're like at all the houses I'm looking at. So you must be really active." They don't know if you have a buyer or not. Okay. Also shows the listing agent that you've been there. Okay. All right. Now down to the details. This is the actual California real estate purchase agreement, and this has all the values filled in. If you're not familiar with the new format yet, the first 3 pages is fill in the blank with grids. It's got these grids, and then the rest of the document has the explanation of these grids. Okay, so it's very easy to fill this in, but it also is very easy to not read the pages 4 to 16. Okay, which I don't recommend. Okay, your client needs to read. Not only do you need to read it, your client needs to read it, and they need to understand every single thing about it. So you would have read this 100 times already, and your client would have read it once. That's the reason why you need to encourage them to go through that throwaway process, write that first offer so they could at least see what it looks like. I've actually included this in the buyer's guide. So they have a link to it. So they should, you should encourage them to go and open the buyer's guide and read the purchase agreement so they know what they're writing. Okay. California compliance. All these fields need to be filled in. Okay. Put the date, your buyer's name, the address, the street and city. The APN needs to be filled in. Okay. I've been lazy. I didn't fill in the APN. California compliance requires you to fill in the APN. If you are using a zip form, MLS Connect, it'll fill in most of this data for you, but it does not fill in the seller's brokerage DRE number. So you need to manually put it in. Do not put 000. These are hypothetical. Okay. So you need to go fill these in. So you could look on the MLS to fill in the value, or you could look on DRE lookup and find out the value. So I put in below I put in the blanks up here, the values that I put, and down here, I put an explanation of that. Okay. Double click the date field. It fills in today's date. Put your buyer's name, check the pre-approval letter if you need to. Okay. Fill in the property address completely. Look on the MLS for the APN number because that's not automatically filled in. Okay. The brokerage. Okay. So the seller's agent's DRE number, you can look on Disclosures IO. The cover sheet actually has that on there too. Or you can look up on the DRE lookup site and there's a link right here. Okay. If you're co-brokering, like with somebody from a different brokerage, you need to use the form ABA. Okay. This is the bottom of page 1. So you put your price, 30-day escrow. If you want to make it better, you can put 25 days, 20 days. Okay. EMD should be 3%. I need to fix this. So when I exported this document, these blanks disappeared. So I got to fill this in. So 3% EMD within 1 business day, loan amount 80%. Okay. If you don't know how to calculate the loan amount, I have a brief explanation down here. Okay. So if you're putting 20% down, that means you have an 80% loan. Okay. So your multiplier is 0.8. If you got a 10% down, you've got a 90% loan. So your multiplier is 0.9. Okay. If you're doing a 3.5% down payment FHA type loan, then you're doing a 96.5% loan. So your multiplier is 0.965. Okay. Get good at math. Okay. Seller credits, maybe the seller is crediting the buyer. So like, let's say you say, I'm making a $510,000 offer, but I want 10,000 back. You put that stuff in here. Maybe the seller says, we're offering a carpet credit. We'll give you $3,000 to replace your carpet. So you just put that down here. You put sellers offering us $3,000. Okay. Verification of cash, down payment, and loan application. These should all be automatic, attached to the offer. We're not waiting for you to go get your pre-approval. It's got to be done. Okay. What stage of loan is it? And that's right here. You click your stage. Okay. Final verification, save 5 days for yourself to look at it. At the end, assignment, like let's say you needed to go add or delete a buyer, put 0. Okay. That strengthens your deal. Okay. So don't change people in and out of your deal if you don't need to. Loan contingency, appraisal contingency, depending on if you're able to do it. Okay. So I have a whole separate document on removing buyer contingencies. Okay. And that's the next class. Okay. So surprisingly, I have so few people sign up for that class, but that's actually one of the most important things to do is buyer contingencies. Okay. Okay. Pre-approval. verification. You need to have a bank statement and a pre-approval letter, and you got to know what stage of pre-approval that the buyer is in. Okay. Next page. Seller documents, title report, common interest, make all these 0. Okay. I want to make sure that these are all in, received by the buyer as soon as possible. Okay. Don't wait for these to come in, because when these things come in late, they actually delay the process. And also, just because you've removed your contingency and you receive these documents later, that doesn't mean that your contingencies become unremoved. Okay, once you remove it, it's removed. So you have to understand the contingency removal form too. It says that if you remove it, if you didn't receive the forms that you need and you remove the contingency, you remove the contingency. Okay, it doesn't go backwards. Okay. So take this very seriously. The contingencies are very serious. So please sign up for the next class on minimizing buyer risk. There's ways to do it, to remove a contingency, even if you don't have all the documents, but you can't, I don't recommend you to do that unless you actually know what your risks are. Okay. Again, all seller documents, make them 0. People outside of the Bay Area will hate this because they'll say, well, I don't have that stuff ready yet. But in the Bay Area, we don't have time to wait. We want to know upfront we want to buy the property or not. Okay. When you go to Safeway, when you go to the grocery store to go buy an apple, do you ask yourself, where's this apple from? Did it get, injections? Is it wax sprayed? Do you ask all those questions? No, you buy it. It's no contingencies. You don't come back and return to the store and say, oh my goodness, I found it has a worm in it. No, you bought it. That's it. Okay. That's how we buy houses in Northern Cal. As long as the seller provides us all the disclosures. Okay. This box here, we click all the stuff that we've seen in the property. Hopefully you have a good picture of what is left in the property. Don't ask for stuff that don't exist. So for example, if the seller doesn't have any smart home control devices, don't click them. Okay, because then the seller will come back and give you an addendum or counter offer them out. Okay. Sometimes the seller wants to exclude stuff like, hey, the dining room chandelier is a family heirloom. We're not selling that. We're going to take that with us. Okay. Hazard disclosure, usually seller pays for that. And and it should be, because it's related to the property. The sellers have to tell you if there's a landslide, earthquake zone, flood zone. So to remove the seller's liability, they've outsourced that to any other NHD's provider. Okay. Smoke alarm, those are all provided by this, should be provided by the seller. Question about government inspections and corrective actions. I never fill these in. Okay. I don't fill these in because I don't want the lender to come back and say, did you do this? Did the seller upgrade all their faucets so that they're energy conserving? Did they do the window seals? Did they do the door seals? Don't check them. Because then also what could happen is the buyer, let's say you're on the seller side and you are the buyer's agent, you say, well, guess what? Sewer lateral, you're doing it now. Okay, so there's also maybe they find some obscure repair that has to be done. And then they put this back on the buyer or the seller. So it's going to become an unexpected cost. We like it so that you buy it just as is. Whatever I see is what it is going to be. Okay, the common ones are like sewer lateral replacement or sidewalk repair. Those are pretty obvious, and those are on a separate addendum. Don't fill them here. Okay. In Oakland, there's an Oakland City addendum. Okay. In Alameda, there's an Alameda County addendum. In Contra Costa County, there's a Contra Costa County addendum. Use those, please. Don't put it here. Okay. The lender doesn't need to know, because they could actually stall your contract. Escrow fees. And if you don't know what your local disclosures are, look around at other listings in the area inside the MLS and look at their disclosure packages to see what a complete one looks like. Okay. Like in Hercules, there's no, not Hercules, in West Contra Costa County, there's a gas shutoff valve that's required, small things like that. Okay. Escrow fees. I usually pick the escrow company that the seller has picked. Unless there's a strong problem with that, don't change it. And this stuff, look up, there's this form here is called Guide to Closing Costs. Click on it and that will take you to the form that you need so you can look it up. I'm going to take us there right now. So if you don't know what your county closing costs are, this form will tell you where it is. Okay, so we live in Alameda County. Buyer pays escrow, buyer pays title, seller pays transfer, and then you have city transfers also right here. Okay, that's all down here. And then every other county in California is all here too. Okay. Know your closing costs. Okay. Warranty. We always ask the seller to pay. And we ask the seller to pay. It's peace of mind for you and for the seller. Okay. So if the seller is objecting to paying $500 to a home warranty, say, come on, we're giving you an amazing offer. We're asking for $500 to pay for the buyer's home warranty. This way, if they have a problem, they're not going to come after you and ask you for help. They can just go and call their home warranty and say, pay $75 and get it done. Okay. It's peace of mind for you, the seller, the seller's agent, and for the buyer. Okay. It's a good thing. If it's a fixer house, then maybe not, because you're going to rip the whole house apart anyways. Addendums. Add your appropriate addendum, and you should know what your addendums are. Okay. If it's probate, you need a probate. If it's a mobile home, you need manufactured home. If it's tenant occupied, click that. If it's a co-op, you click that. If it's a backup offer, you click it. If you have a septic tank or a well tank, then you click those. If you're doing 1031, click it. If you're doing short sale or court confirmation, these will be in the seller's confidential remarks, and you should know which ones to click. Okay. Here is the liquidated damages and arbitration. This is on page 14. DocuSign will not make these things mandatory. These are optional initials. So you need to go into DocuSign and make these required fields. Okay. Do not go into a deal without these signatures. Okay. This was at the beginning of 2021, and it was so bad. Okay. We're actually experiencing the same market now. And this is a joke. Okay. So we want your house. We want your house. That's the buyer's name. And the seller's coolest seller to ever exist. And we are offering you buyer to purchase annual Netflix subscription for the sellers, buyer to give hard-earned Christmas bonus to the sellers, not to exceed 10,000. Buyer to name firstborn child after the sellers. It's ridiculous. Okay. And for the love of God, please accept our 50,000 over asking price if I can have your home. 50,000 doesn't get much in California. Okay. Anyways, it was a joke, but it's funny too. Okay. Submit your offer. Submit your offer 10 minutes before deadline. However, I'm changing that now because the market is so crazy that people are not waiting till deadlines to submit their offers. People are submitting it way ahead of time. So offers are due Tuesday. We're submitting it on Saturday. Okay. We just, right when we finished looking at the property at the open house, looking up the numbers, reviewed the disclosures, reviewed the sale price, submitting the offer right then and there. Okay. And then we're calling the agent and say, hey, we just submitted you an offer. Will the seller take a preemptive offer? Okay. In some places, people are doing in-person offer presentation. I don't do that. So we email the offer, and this is our email format. Okay. What I've upgraded is we usually send a text to say, hey, John, we just sent you a offer. Please take a look at it when you get a chance. Okay. So you want to confirm that they've received the offer, because once you've sent it, they go into the wrong bucket or the wrong folder, like spam, and then your offer is dead. Okay, so these days I've upgraded it due to COVID and no in person and an extra high end touch. We're doing video texting. So I'm video texting the agent and say, so I record a short video on the phone and I attach that video to the text and I send it. And I say, hey, hi listing agent, I just submitted a offer for 1.25 million, 3% deposit, 20% down, 30-day close, no contingencies. Text me back when you got it. Look forward to working with you. That's what we're sending. Okay. Make sure your offer has this stuff so they can see this at a glance, and it's attach the purchase agreement, the pre-approval letter, buyer proof of funds, disclosure signed document, so that they can have all this stuff ready to go. It's got to be a tight ship. Okay. There's any holes in it, you stand a chance to lose. Okay. You're going into battle for real. And I was joking with Paulo that the catch is an iconic football play, especially for Bay Area fans, that this brought us to the Super Bowl. So to keep it short, every player in the deal has to be completely on board. Everybody has to be responsive. Okay. If your buyer is playing two agents, like half talking to you, half talking to somebody else, it's not going to work. Okay. It's all in. Okay. You got to be all in. You got, the lender's got to be on target. So once you've submitted your offer, you call the lender and you say, lender, we just submitted the offer. Can you give the listing agent a call? They do the call. Hey, I've pre-underwritten the file for buyers, and they're solid. They're good to go. They've got excellent credit score. They've got solid jobs. They've been doing the same work for 10 years. They've got solid income. Their asset statements are solid, even though the stock market's going up and down. They've already cashed out a large portion of it. Ready to go. We can close in 21. Okay. What I did not talk about today is the actual offer price. That's homework that you need to do for your listing. I also did not talk about risk management. Those are the next classes. Okay, we don't have possibly nearly enough time to talk about that today, but you need to go start looking at that. So risk management is those links over here that says removing the contingencies. You need to read those. Okay, it's a whole separate document. And then the offer price target is another one that's going to be called, I'm going to put a link in here. Where is it? Purchase price. I'm going to put it here. I'm going to link that one here. Okay. So anybody who has access to this document can also see these other ones too. That's how you win. That's how you write winning offers. Yes, I'm excited about this stuff. This is fun. I'm going to open up the mic. Oh, actually, mics are open. You guys can talk. Hey guys, thanks for joining.
Awesome, Garrick. Thank you so much.
Any thoughts?
It was awesome, and I can't wait to get the recording so I can review it. It was totally awesome. Thank you.
Yes, I agree. I went pretty quick on there because there wasn't a whole lot of time.
No,
Thanks
it
for
was
joining
awesome. It was awesome. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time to go over it.
Thanks, Nicole. Nicole, are you in California?
I am. I'm in San Diego.
Oh, nice. What's your market like right now?
It's still crazy. It's still a seller's market for sure. The inventory is very low right now, but